This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack on cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello everyone and welcome to the HPT. I'm James Larson, joined by this guy, Mr. David Williams. He's got a great smile and he's a professional poker player and a pretty good one at that. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Excited to be here and can't wait to see how this final table plays out.
Tonight is the conclusion of our episode here at the Ameristar Casino Hotel, East Chicago. 6 players remain. We talked about this a lot last week, David. Up top, just over $164,000 in cash.
Not too shabby for second, just over $100,000. And right now, the bare minimum, just under $27,000.
Yes, we have. A lot of these players have impressed me, and I think all of them will be worthy champions.
So, we're going to have a jam-packed evening tonight. We're glad you could join us. Sit back, buckle up, and let's go meet the players.
Looking at the chip counts, Mike, Shiva, and Blade leading the pack, but really, David, it's anybody's game because even the short stack has about 16 or 17 big blinds.
Right, AK's still got plenty to work with. He's just going to have to find some spots and double up.
And JT Turner, we saw on the last hand of last week's episode win a hand, hadn't had much going for him, but he's now up to $1.5 million. He knows how to play the game. He final tabled in St. Louis a couple of months ago, and he's first to act. It's $30,000, $60,000 with a $10K ante. Very happy to have David Williams in the booth this week. We're all learning a little bit more about poker, so thanks for popping by. Action on Mike Puccio. His friends call him Pooch. He's going to raise to $130,000 with King 10.
It's 6-handed now. You're going to see the action pick up. The player should start playing more hands. This actually is going to play to JT's style. He likes to play hands, and he's lasted this long, and now he's back over 20 big blinds. Wouldn't be surprised to see him make a run.
Shiva in the 9 seat looks down at a pocket pair. Pocket sixes. Shiva's 29 years old, from India. He moved to America when he was 17 years old. Used to play a little bit of chess back in the day, he told us before the final table. And it's a 3-bet now to $330,000.
Shiva has shown when he 3-bets that he has strong hands. He's done it with ace-king against ace-queen once, and he's had queens and aces already.
And Pooch is going to make the call. He told us he got no sleep last night.
Pretty interesting call with King 10 offsuit.
Mike's always wanted to play a final table. Wow, right in the window. 6 of diamonds as the flop comes out. 10, 6, 5.
This is going to be trouble. Mike has flopped top pair, but Shiva has a set.
Shiva flops the set of sixes. Yeah, Mike could be in a lot of trouble on this hand. Shiva's reaching for chips. 2 spades come out on the board.
Shiva's trying to figure out how to get the most value out of this hand.
The bet is $320,000. A pot of already over 1 million chips, and see if Mike can sniff this out, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to. We are playing 6-handed.
It's pretty hard when you call with King 10 and you flop top pair to get away from it.
Mike looking down at his chips. He's going to make the call. Shiva loves every second of this. Like I said before, the minimum cash right now, just under $27,000. But, you know, the pay bumps go, you know, all the way up to 4th place. We're looking at $46,000 and change. And then 2nd place is where the huge money starts, just over $100,000. And up top, $164,249. Jack of clubs comes on the turn.
That's going to leave Mike drawing dead. He cannot win this hand.
See how Shiva attacks this now. What would you like to see him bet here? Pot size right now, almost 1.4 million. What makes sense to you, David?
I actually like a check here. Show some weakness. Try to get Mike to put some more money in this pot on his own.
Yeah, maybe make it look like that first bet was just a bluff. Check, let Mike hang himself, and you come in over the top and take it down. But he's going to bet $840,000. And now Pooch is thinking, all right, maybe this King 10 isn't so great after all.
Well, if you notice Mike's sigh, he did that and his opponent did, so he's not going to try to represent strength anymore. He's sort of, his body language has shown that he's weak.
Mike is a landscape contractor, $23,000 in lifetime earnings. He's got his buddies Frank and David in the background there railing him. And he's going to fold. Good fold by Mike. And Shiva is going to win the hand.
I think Shiva bet a little too much there. I would have loved to have seen a check. I think Mike would have bet it, and if he didn't, you can check the river, and then Mike surely is going to value bet.
Time to take a quick break, but when we come back, more exciting final table action. You are watching the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson alongside professional poker player David Williams. We're broadcasting from the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago. We look at the chip counts, and Ben Castle was leading the entire way, but now he's slipped all the way down to 4th place. But how about Shiva in the 9th seat at $4.3 million?
He's been really fortunate and had some really big hands at the right moments and had opponents have hands big enough to pay him off.
Now AK on the short stack here. He's smiling.
Yes, these two guys.
He knows he's got to make a move here, and he looks down at Queen 10.
He's got about 15 big blinds, 6-handed, and that's a good enough hand as any to move all in.
All in, under the gun with Queen 10 of clubs. Over to Shiva now in the 9th seat. Dealer's getting an account for us. I want to remind you guys to check out our webpage at www.hptpoker.com. Find an event that will work for you, and maybe you'll be playing alongside one of these guys at the HPT final table. Mike Puccio says, I call, and why wouldn't you, David? 2 red jacks.
Blade lays down the big blind. AK's going to find out he's only got 1 overcard.
Pocket jacks going up against the Queen 10 of AK. Mike Puccio stands up, as does AK. And the flop, 2 trays and a 7, couple of diamonds, no help for AK.
AK's in trouble. He's going to need a queen or some runners if he wants to stay in this event.
And now we go to the turn card. It's the ace of diamonds. Still no help for AK.
And with that card being a diamond, it's going to cut AK down to 2 outs. He needs 1 of the remaining queens that isn't a diamond because the diamond would give Mike a flush.
Mike in good shape to eliminate a player. 7 of hearts on the river, and that is going to do it for AK, the 39-year-old investment broker from Hammond, Indiana. AK is going to go home, though, with $26,780. Congratulations to AK on his cash. And now, David, we are down to our final 5 players. So we started with 9. Now we are with 5. How does the hand selection change?
Well, you've really got to step up the aggression and widen the range. You can no longer sit around and wait for big pairs. You're going to have to play position and play your opponents.
Poker is really all position, position, position. It's always position.
Well, position is important because getting to act last, you get more information. You know what people have already done instead of having to wonder what's going to happen after you act.
And do you think now we've lost 4 players? Do you think these guys have reads on the other players? And how many of these players are going off the reads and the emotions and the facial expressions of the other players?
I definitely feel that Shiva, JT, and Ben are really paying attention to their opponents and picking their spots well. Blade seems to be sitting back, just taking it all in. He hasn't been very active lately. He was in the beginning. And here he is. He picks up a hand, ace-king. He's playing very solid cards. And then Mike Puccio seems to just be having a good time.
Yeah, and Mike Puccio just looks like he's playing in a home game. He's having fun, joking around. And the flop is ace-king 4, couple of diamonds. Well, this is bad news for Mike Puccio.
And Blade played the hand very tricky. He just called Mike's raise on the button with ace-king. A lot of deception in that play, so Mike's not going to have any suspicion that Blade has a hand as strong as top 2.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mike was the pre-flop raiser. Blade just flatted there with ace-king, so Mike's got to think his hand is good right here. And he bets $275,000. Now Blade is going to raise to $550,000.
A min raise here, which is a very suspicious bet.
Boy, this could cost Mike a lot of chips.
It's especially dangerous with 2 diamonds on the board. Mike could put Blade on a diamond draw, although most people with a diamond draw or any kind of draw raise you bigger than a min raise because they have to expect you're going to call.
A pot of almost 1.4 million chips. Mentioned it before, Mike Puccio told us he couldn't sleep last night. He was so nervous. Finally made an HPT final table, but he doesn't look nervous. He looks calm and cool and relaxed.
And he makes the call.
Turn card now, another diamond, this time the 9 of diamonds. Neither player has a diamond in their hand, so Mike is drawing dead. So $500,000 chips for Mike to make this call.
Another lucky turn for Mike in a sense that I think it's going to scare him off his hand. It's kind of like when Shiva flopped a set of sixes and the jack came.
Can he make this fold?
Wow.
So Mike is going to fold the hand, David, and we got to give this guy credit.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation, especially for an amateur player. You raise with an ace at a five-handed final table. The person behind you doesn't re-raise you. You flop your ace, and you end up having to lay it down. It takes a lot of discipline. Hats off.
And Mike said, I want to see it. And Blade just showed him the ace. Didn't show him the ace-king. And Blade wins the hand. Blinds are 40,000, 80,000 with a 10K ante. Only 5 players remain. We'll crown a new champion tonight right here on the HPT. Action on Mike Puccio. He folds over to Blade. Blade releases his hand over to Shiva now on the button.
He's wisely asking how many chips the big blind has. Something you should always do if you're on the button and the big blind stack is not a normal size, sort of short. You'd hate to raise an amount that commits you to call the rest of what the big blind puts in if they do move in on you.
And I don't think Ben really likes this question, but as you can see the way he stacks his chips there, they're all in just one giant stack. So it's
normally you're expected to keep your chip stacks in a readable manner, which is usually a stack of 20 or so. A stack like that, you have no idea how many chips it is, so he really wants to know before he raises, and he decided to fold.
So now we go to the small blind of JT. He's going to make the call with 7-5. A couple of fun hands here. Battle of the blinds. And look at this. 2 5s and a 6.
Wow. JT flops 3 of a kind, and Ben flops an open-ended straight draw, and they both check.
The turn card now, David, is the 8 of clubs.
That's an interesting card. It gives Ben top pair, and it allows JT to have the same straight draw. They both need a 4 or a 9 for a straight, but JT still has a stranglehold on the hand with 3 of a kind 5s.
Interesting hand here. It's the battle of the blinds. JT bets 125,000. Benny obviously is going to make the call here. Now we go to the river. It's the queen of spades.
Doesn't change much. JT is going to make a small value bet. Can Ben get away from it and preserve his stack?
He needs to get away from this hand. 305,000 is the bet by JT. I think Ben's a little confused. You know, he's playing against the small blind. It's a weird board. He turns the 8 for 2 pair. He might call him here, David.
You know, when the small blind limps in and just completes and you check the big blind, you really have to give him credit for being able to have actually any 2 cards.
And he's going to make the call, and he's going to see that he's beat. He's going to smile a little bit.
Nice hand.
And the winner of the hand is JT, 34-year-old professional poker player from St. Louis. He just final tabled just a couple of months ago, 7th place at our St. Louis property. And David, you know, in last week's show, we saw JT raising a lot out of position, not hitting his hands, but everything's going pretty well for him tonight.
JT's game seemed suited for shorthanded play. It seemed like he was trying to play like that at a full table, which usually doesn't work out. But now that he's down to the final 5, he's become a real threat.
When we come back, we'll have more exciting final table coverage. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. James Larson is my name, joined by David Williams. We broadcast this week from the Ameristar Casino Hotel, East Chicago. We started with 498 players, and now we are down to our final 5, and we've seen some great poker tonight, David.
Yes, we have. A lot of these players have impressed me, and I think all of them will be worthy champions.
Worthy champions, and somebody's going to be really happy because they're going to go home with just over 164K.
You look at the chip counts, a lot of parity up there at the top, and the real story here, the once dominant chip leader, Ben Castle, now just with 825,000 chips, David.
Yeah, he's in the danger zone with about 10 big blinds.
The danger zone, the highway to the danger zone. Action on Shiva in the 9 seat. Shiva's really impressed me at this final table, got to be honest. He's played good poker last week, and we're seeing it tonight. He's going to raise it to 175,000 with his ace-6. Ben Castle gets out of the way. Now over to Puccio. The Pooch.
He's got a pair of 8s. Can go either way. You can just call. You can 3-bet. Mike hasn't been really aggressive, hasn't been re-raising people a lot. So he's going to make the call.
Mike's plans for the cash. He plans to go play some blackjack with his buddies, Frank and David.
Blade's going to call with the pocket 3s.
So we got 8s versus Trays versus the ace-6 of Shiva.
Let's go to 2 o'clock, please. Sorry about that.
350.
And we go to the flop.
And that flop is
The flop is ace four deuce. Action over to Shiva now, who outflopped both Blade and Mike.
He's in position and he has the best hand, but he's going to check it, give a little deception so the players won't put him on an ace. Maybe they'll bet.
Turn card now, the Queen of Diamonds. Still no help for Mike. He's going to check.
Blade also has a straight draw. He can hit a 5.
Blade's going to bet 225,000.
I'd love to see a smooth call from Shiva here. No real reason to raise. If your opponent's bluffing, they're going to fold. And if you're beat, you're going to be putting more chips into the pot with the worse hand.
And he's going to make the call. Now these overcards scaring Mike. He's going to fold his pocket eights. And the river card, look at this, David Williams, the Trey of Hearts. Blade makes a set on the river.
It's going to give Blade the winning hand, but it might allow Shiva to get away because any 5 is a straight, and he might put Blade on a 5.
Yeah, a little too much coordination on that board. Shiva may be able to get rid of this hand.
Doesn't really seem like Blade could be bluffing. His kicker with his ace is not very strong, but he's still going to pay it off.
He's going to make the call and see that he had him the entire way until the river. Blade is going to win the hand. He's 35 years old, originally from Albania. Wants to say hello to his 2 sons that are watching at home. Not only a poker player, but Blade also played professional soccer in Albania. Lines are 40,000, 80,000 with a 10K ante. It's James and David Williams. So glad you could join us tonight on the HPT. And being in the Chicagoland area, I want to say hello to one of our best affiliates in the country, Comcast Sportsnet Chicago. About 45 minutes from our location we're at right here at the Ameristar. We want to thank Comcast Sportsnet Chicago for airing this program and all the support that they've given the HPT over the years.
JT's going to raise the button with King Queen, and Ben finds ace-8 suited and moves all in.
Ben, the once dominant chip leader, now trying to double up to keep his hopes alive.
Mike Puccio's found 2 3s. He's asking for how much the raise by Ben is, but there is a raise and a re-raise already. Pocket 3s don't look so good when you see that, and he wisely lays them down. JT makes the call with King Queen.
So it's JT and Ben. Ben's got the ace-8, as you can see, suited up in hearts going up against JT's King Queen. Pot size of about 1.2 million. And the flop now is 6-5-4, couple of spades, so great flop for Ben.
That would have been a nice flop.
Ben's ahead with his ace. Yeah, 7 will give him a straight. Never count out Benny Castle, let me tell you. King of Hearts now comes on the turn. Just when I say don't count him out, the King of Hearts comes on the turn.
JT takes the lead. Ben's going to need an ace or a 7 if he wants to stay alive.
And the river card is neither. It's the 9 of clubs. Ben Castle has been eliminated in 5th place. He's going to go home with $34,635, just adding to his HPT resume. Ben has been a friend of all of ours here on the HPT. Congratulations to him. Yet one more final table, and again, a nice little payday here, $34,635. When we come back, we'll have the conclusion as we broadcast tonight from the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago. Welcome back to the HPT. James Larson and professional poker player David Williams broadcasting from the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago. Look at that. JT Turner leading the pack, David.
Yeah, but the other 3 are not far behind, and they could all change in one hand.
Well, we've seen a lot of change. Ben Castle, who was the last elimination, he was our chip leader to start this final table. He ran into some problems. We've had Shiva, we've had JT. And don't count out Mike Puccio. Mike has impressed me. You know, Mike, I guess you would call him an amateur, a hobbyist, if you will. He's played some great poker tonight. I think he could still take this thing down.
You know, it's anyone's game. He's really holding his own, but all these players are playing great, and I wouldn't be shocked to see either of them win.
Shiva on the button going to raise to $250,000. Now over to JT. He's going to fold from the small blind. Now over to Pooch in the big blind. Talked about this earlier. He told us that he had trouble sleeping last night. He was so excited. He always wanted to make an HPT final table. Well, at age 57, Mike Puccio, you're right here, right where you wanted to be.
And he finds 2 6s.
His greatest poker moment, he flopped a royal flush. That's when you know you're really running well, when you flop the royal.
He's going to continue his trend of just passive poker, just calling.
And the flop is queen, 9-5, couple of diamonds. Mike checks over to Shiva.
And Shiva makes a pair, but unfortunately it's the card he didn't want to pair against the sixes. It's 5.
Talk about how your mind has to change now, going from 9-handed to 4-handed. Hands start looking a little better. Hands range changes a little bit, David.
Yeah, you definitely get to play a lot more hands, but you're going to have to make some wiser decisions because you're going to be in tough spots when you're playing a lot of hands that you're not used to playing.
Shiva bets 300,000, and Mike's going to make the call.
Now, when you're playing against a player like Mike and he calls, you have to put him on something. You just have a pair of 5s. You're going to assume most likely he's got a better hand unless he has a draw.
Turn card is the 8 of spades, and I'm starting to think here Mike Puccio, a little bit of a hustler. I think he knows the game a little more than I'm giving him credit. I know that for sure. He belongs here at this nationally televised final table. He's going to check over to Shiva. Now Shiva slows down.
He's definitely impressed me with his post-flop play.
So the jack of clubs comes on the river.
That's actually a great card for either player to bluff. I don't think Mike's bluffing. I think he might be value betting his 6s, not assuming that you're never going to get called by a worse hand. But
Mike bets 300,000, and I think that's going to be enough for Shiva to fold. And he's going to do just that. So the winner of the hand, Mike Puccio, adding to his chip stack here.
The interesting part about that bet is it actually opened the door for Shiva to make a bluff raise, but I think Shiva actually put Mike on the hand that he would have had to try to represent by bluffing.
All right, the action continues. Blinds 50,000, 100,000 with a 10K ante. Action now over to Mike Puccio. He's going to fold. And now we go over to Blade, and do not adjust your TV sets. He's got the same hand as he just had, ace-6. Guy wakes up with an ace every other hand, or every hand, I guess.
You've got an ace on the button. Got to raise it up.
And the raise is going up to 250,000. And now look at that, over to Shiva. Looks down at 2 red 10s. See a 3-bet coming here, David?
Oh, almost certainly. 4-handed, the button's raising. You got a nice pair.
A 3-bet shove now by Shiva. Action over to JT.
What's the count?
Asking for a count.
We've seen a raise and an all-in, and JT's curious.
I didn't see what JT was holding, but he's going to get the count. 1.59. Pocket 10s for Shiva. JT takes the sunglasses off for the first time at this final table, and JT's going to make the call with pocket jacks.
He's got Shiva pipped.
Wow. Blade gets out of the way, and Shiva's going to realize he's in big trouble. Jacks versus 10s. Were you surprised JT asked for the count, or was he thinking about going all in over the top?
I think JT just didn't want to give away the strength of his hand with a snap call, hoping that he can maybe get Blade in the pot.
Flop is 7, 5 deuce, 2 hearts. JT way ahead with his pocket jacks. Shiva does have a heart in his hand, but he's going to need a lot of help. Turn card now is the deuce of spades, so no help for Shiva. He's looking to catch one of the remaining 10s left in the deck, or he will be eliminated.
2 black 10s left in the deck, otherwise Shiva will be eliminated. Let's go ahead and see that river card, Anthony.
And the river card is the 7 of spades. That is going to do it for Shiva. JT knocks him out. But David, Shiva played well, and he's got to be happy with his performance at tonight's final table.
Yeah, I was actually very impressed with Shiva. Don't think he made very many mistakes at all. Thought he played pretty well, other than the queen-jack hand where he bluffed off quite a bit of his stack. And I expect to see him back at a final table.
And for Shiva's efforts, he's going to go home with
$46,035. And when we come back, we'll have more exciting final table coverage. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. I'm David Williams alongside your host, James Larson. James, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really our pleasure having you here in the HPT studios. And things are going to get fun now, David, because only 3 players remain. Let's head down to the felt and crown a champion.
We can talk about chip counts all you want, David, but really, it's anybody's game, and I truly mean that.
Yeah, there's not much separating the stacks of these 3 players. It's really going to be who makes the right moves at the right time.
I'm just going to guess, you know, I've gone through some of the bios. Experience-wise, JT, Blade, maybe a little bit more than Pooch, but he's been playing some good poker. He's impressed both of us at this final table.
He's holding his own.
It's too close to call. It really is. At this point, it's too close to call. Blade's going to raise on the button.
Wow.
With ace-queen up to 300,000. And buzzsaw time here. JT, 3-handed, looks down at ace-10.
Yeah, three-handed, the button raises, and you find ace-10 in the small blind, and you're as active as JT, it's going to be some trouble.
3-bet on the way. It's a re-raise to 1.9 million. We haven't even got to Pooch.
It's a huge raise.
Mike Puccio looks down at his cards. Queen deuce.
I love how he squeezes it out and pauses and takes his time. He's not going to give anything away. Even though he's not putting any chips in the pot with queen deuce, he's taking his time so his opponents don't have a read that when he does act fast, he has something.
So he's going to fold. Now over to Blade.
I don't think there's any way Blade's laying this down. He's probably going to move all in with a raise that big.
I think he kind of has to here, doesn't he, David?
Well, I mean, if he folds the ace-queen, I don't know what he's waiting for. You are playing three-handed. That's a really big hand at a full table, so three-handed, it's huge.
Now remember, a lot of money on the line here. Third place, $66,556. Up top, $164,249. And Blade is all in. Now what's JT thinking right now?
He raised so much, and the pot is so big in relation to what he has left to call that he's almost committed to calling.
Doing this now.
And I think he knows his hand is not that strong in relation to what Blade is probably moving all in with.
And I think the happiest person right now is Mike Puccio, who's out of the hand. He's thinking, all right, this is a quick way for me to make a quick $40,000 right here if one of these players gets eliminated.
Well, I think Blade's probably the happiest because when your opponent doesn't snap call, you know you've got the best hand.
25.
Two point.
2.34.
2.325.
Call.
And the call has been made, ladies and gentlemen. We flip over the cards, and JT's going to see he's in big trouble.
The important lesson to learn from this hand is to always think about what are you going to do if your raise gets re-raised. JT's raise size was so large that I don't think he planned to what he was going to have to do if he was moved in on.
All right, the all-important flop. It's Jack 5-4, 2 spades. It's all Blade so far. JT will have chips left if he loses this hand. Pot size of just under 9 million. We go to the turn card now. It's the 6 of diamonds. Still no help for JT.
JT's going to need a 10.
10 and a 10 only. Otherwise, a big hand will go to Blade, and he is going to win this hand as the tray of diamonds comes off. And Blade in great shape now, David.
Big double up. Blade's going to be a large chip leader, and JT is on a critical-sized short stack.
You know, we kept waiting for one big hand, and that was right there.
No, I tried a 3-bet to 900 pre-flop, and I made it 1.8, and then I was priced in.
Wow, that explains it. You were wondering why his raise was so big. It was nothing like any raise he had ever made. It was a misclick.
It was a misclick.
They call it a live misclick, and unfortunately that cost him most of his stack because he could have folded once he made it 900 if Blade decided to 4-bet all in.
Big hand for Blade. Blind 60,000, 120,000 with a 15K ante. 3 players remain. Fireworks down the stretch here on the HPT tonight. We're glad you joined us.
JT wakes up with an ace on the button and a short stack. Almost certainly all those chips are going in the middle.
That last hand really hurt JT. He's all in, just like you said, with his ace-6. Pooch gets out of the way. And now his nemesis, Blade, looks down at King 10. That's probably good enough.
Yeah, King 10 suited, 3-handed. It's a pretty strong hand. JT's all in is not for very many of Blade's chips.
1.8 and 15.
JT just final tabled a few months ago in St. Louis. So for him, his second final table in a row here on the HPT. Blade thinking about it. Doesn't want to give a lot of chips back to JT. He just got them.
Every time you got a big hand in my big blind.
And again, David, Mike Puccio is just in the middle of these two guys while they fight it out. He's just chilling. Again, 66,000 for third, 100,000 for second.
And he makes the call.
I like that call there. It was 1.7 million to make the call and potentially knock out JT and move right up the pay ladder.
Yeah, about 14 big blinds, which is a lot of chips, but still, you've got King 10 suited, which is a big hand. You're 3-handed, and you know JT's going to be moving in on the button with a lot of hands.
All right, we go to the flop. And it's king, 8, 5, 2 spades. Just like that, Blade goes ahead.
JT's probably thinking about that misclick he made to 1.9 instead of 900.
Turn card now is the Jack of Clubs, so only 3 cards in the deck that will save JT, one of the 3 remaining aces. Otherwise, he'll be eliminated in 3rd place. We go to the river card. It's the 7 of Hearts that will eliminate JT.
I was rooting for the 10 again.
7th place a couple months ago. He improved this week. 3rd place and a wonderful payday, $66,556. It's been quite the roller coaster for JT. His night ends with him in 3rd place. All right, ladies and gentlemen, heads up poker time. We got Pooch, we got Blade. We'll find out after this quick commercial break. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. James Larson joined by David Williams. Finally, 2 players remain. We started this thing a week ago with 498 players. Now it's heads-up poker. Poochie against Blade. Who do you like?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Blade. He really seems to be in tune with what's going on and playing the best poker.
Well, I'm going to take the Pooch. Pooch, you're my guy. Let's take this thing down.
Talk about the first hand of heads up. Does it take a little while to get to know your opponent? You just playing maybe a little small ball right now, David?
Well, you should have been making reads on them throughout the entire final table, and especially when you were down to 3 and 4-handed. So you kind of have an idea how the other guy plays, but yeah, once it gets heads up, everything changes.
Mike now picks up pocket 3s. He's going to raise to 350,000. Blade looks down at Jack 9.
Not a lot of folding heads up.
So much money on the line here from 1st and 2nd place. I mean, we're talking like $65,000 difference in paydays here, David. Flop is 10-5-4, a couple of diamonds. Nobody wants to get 2nd place. You, out of anybody, knows how that feels to get 2nd place. But your 2nd place was in the World Series of Poker main event for $3.5 million, whatever it was. After all these years, are you cool with your 2nd place now?
Even with all that money, it still felt crummy to get 2nd place. It's not really about the money, it's about the title. But yeah, I've had some accomplishments since then that I feel like I'm over it. I'm okay with it. I'm happy that that happened.
Turn card is the Ace of Clubs. Both players checking that turn card, and now we go to the river. It's the 7 of Spades. Blade is first once again. He's reaching for chips.
Blade doesn't have a hand, and the only way he can win this pot is with a bet.
We'll see if it's enough to get Mike off his 3s. 850,000. Mike might just look him up here.
He's continually impressed me with this play post-flop. Looks like he's cut out a call.
Mike's 57 years old. He always wanted to get to a HPT final table, and he did it right here tonight, and he's going to make the call. His pocket 3s, David, are good.
Jack high.
Blade shows the Jack high.
Blade has to show his hand. Wow. And Mike is going to win the hand.
It's really tough when you play heads up and you try to bluff because you don't have much, and the guy you're playing against always seems to have a hand.
Mike is a landscape contractor. About $25,000 in total career earnings. He's got his buddies Frank and David in the audience, and their plans are to go straight to the BAR, play a little blackjack, have a few drinks, and celebrate no matter where he finishes tonight. But right now, he's guaranteed at least 6 figures.
Blade has ace-4 of clubs on the button. As I've said many times, an ace on the button is great, especially heads up.
But no reason to ever limp in on the button heads up, right? Is there ever a reason to do that?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, you don't always want to be doing the same thing. And it's nice to mix up your play. You create a lot of deception if you do limp. Your opponents can't really put you on anything.
Well, no limping here. Blade raises to 400,000 on the button with ace-4 of clubs. And Mike, once again, wakes up with pocket 3s. And the flop is Jack 10-7 Rainbow. Mike with pocket 3s, 2 hands in a row.
Both players check.
Turn card now another 10, this time the 10 of hearts.
I actually would have liked to see a bet from Blade. That's a very scary board, and it's hard for your opponent to continue unless they have some of that.
Mike's going to bet 420,000. Blade is quickly going to make the call here.
We haven't really seen any bluffs out of Mike this entire final table, so I'm not really sure why Blade's calling, but he does get lucky and hit the ace on the river.
Bad river card for Mike Puccio. Ace of spades, and now he's going to check. Blade reaching for chips. A great river for Blade as he makes 2 pair aces and 10s. And he's going to bet 850,000, and that's got to be enough for Mike Puccio to make this fold. Pot size, though, of 2.5 million chips.
Well, haven't really seen many missteps from Mike post-flop. He's made all the right decisions. Let's see if this trend continues.
You look like you want me to call so bad.
Usually when he sides, he lays it down, and he does.
The action continues here from the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago. 2 players remain, Mike Puccio and Blade. I like the names. It's like a movie. We got the Blade against the Pooch. Heads up poker for all the money. And Blade's going to raise to 380,000 with King 9. Now over to Mike, who looks down at King 7. Both players with the King, which is always good heads up, right, David?
King is a nice hand heads up. Unfortunately for Puccio, he's dominated. His kicker is no good.
He's going to make the call. There's his buddies watching him in the background, cheering him on. And look at this. Oh, man, right in the window, a king, followed by a 10-7. King 10-7. Puccio flops 2 pair.
Puccio's out-flopped Blade.
I like the check there. I like that. Boy, this is going to get real ugly for Blade. He bets 450,000.
Unless he improves, I could see Mike doubling up here.
Call.
I like it. Check, call, flops 2 pair, heads up. It's a monster, David. All right, we go to the turn card. It's the deuce of hearts. Mike's going to check again.
That card doesn't change much.
He's letting Blade do all the work. Oh, and Mike just loves everything about this situation. The bet 650,000. Now do you come over the top?
You know, you could.
Is it 650?
I could see either way. I personally like to call again and just give a guy the maximum amount of rope to hang himself. But he bets so small, it looks like he's trying to induce you to call. So usually people do that when they have a strong hand. Raising here is going to get a lot of chips in the pot, and I don't think you can put your opponent on folding.
All right, well, Mike is going to make the call. What a hand this is shaping up to be. And now we go to the river card. It's the ace of hearts. Now this might slow both players down just a little bit, David.
You don't want to bet one more time.
Both players do check. Blade's going to say, oh, man, you had a king and a 7. Outflopped him for 2 pair.
That's one of the downsides to not raising on the turn, is that a card might come on the river that deters your opponent from putting more chips in the pot.
You know, it's not a good hand. It was a good flop.
If the 9 count, you go broke.
Yeah.
A big hand for that man, Mike Puccio. When we come back, we'll see if he can take down this HPT title.
Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson joined by David Williams. 2 players remain here at this nationally televised final table. Mike Puccio and Blade battling it out. You know, there's a lot of money on the line. 164 and change for first and just over 100,000 for second. So really, David, they're playing for about $60,000.
Right, and Mike Puccio's really impressed me with his play, and Blade has made a few mistakes already.
We'll see what happens. Let's continue the heads-up action.
Blinds are 100,000, 200,000 with a 30K ante. Pooch having a little bit of fun now. Well, why wouldn't you be? You're guaranteed 6 figures.
Looks like Blade has another ace on the button.
This is the best part for our HPT players, to get to this point. National TV, under the lights. It's just a great situation. You're going to go home with a lot of money. You're playing on TV, showing off your skills. Blade's going to raise to 450 with his ace 4. Could spell a little trouble here for Pooch, as he's got a decent hand heads up too. He makes the call with king 8, so it's basically ace versus king here in this situation. And the flop, 2 5s and a 6.
5, 6, 5. Check, check. Let's see the
2
turn.
quick checks.
Go to the turn card now, the queen of diamonds. Mike is first once again.
So, Mike.
450.
450.
And Mike is going to bet 450,000 chips.
Don't think Blade's going to believe him. He does have ace high, which is a strong hand heads up. He's going to call.
River card now is the 8 of diamonds, and just like that, Mike goes in the lead with his 2 pair, 8s and 5s, and he wisely checks over to Blade.
Yeah, there's not many hands that you're beating that would call you, and you might get a bluff out of your opponent. And he does. Blade bets his ace high. Not really sure if I like that bet very much.
third diamond does come on the board. He bet $650,000. Not sure what was going through his mind there, but Mike's obviously going to look him up. I don't think he's going to raise, and he's going to do just that. He makes the call.
Eights.
Mike says, I got an 8.
I'm not sure if he was bluffing or value betting, but neither of those things seemed like they would work.
Sip
And the
it.
winner of the hand, Mike Puccio, the landscape contractor, $23,000 in lifetime earnings. Boy, he just destroyed his lifetime earnings slate today because no matter where he finishes, first or second, it's 6 figures for Mike Puccio.
Looks like he has a commanding chip lead.
2 players left, David. We got the Pooch, and we got the Blade.
Another ace on the button for Blade. Picks up a very strong hand, heads up. Ace-queen suited.
Now Mike looks down at 7
Go ahead.
tray. He says, yeah, let's go ahead. Check my option here. Ace-queen got the 7 tray, just dominated as we go to the flop. And just like that, David, 7-4 tray, 2 clubs. Mike flops 2 pair again. A check, and Blade says all in. And Mike flips over his hand. And this could be over.
Not really sure what Blade was doing. He didn't raise pre-flop. He just limped in trying to trap his opponent, but he didn't actually have that strong of a hand because he's not paired up. And Mike paired, and Blade went all in and saw the bad news.
Boy, tough shape here for Blade, and we're 2 streets away from crowning our newest HPT champion. And now we go to the turn card. A little bit of good news there for Blade, the 10 of diamonds.
Blade has a diamond draw. He's going to need one of the remaining diamonds in the deck if he wants to double up and stay in the tournament.
1 card left, and we could have our new HPT champion. Let's go to the river. It's the deuce of clubs. That's it. This thing's over. That's your new champion, Mike Puccio.
Good job.
I was continually impressed by Mike Puccio's play throughout this final table. What a deserving champion.
Blade is going out in second place with just over 100,000. But the star of tonight's show, your new HPT champion, 164,249, Mike Puccio.
Good job.
Good job.
Congratulations to our runner-up, Blade Arshaholi, winning just over $100,000. He's down on the floor, and let's go down to James for an interview.
All right, it's finally over. I'm joined down here with Blade. This has been a marathon session. Heads Up was crazy, but let's talk about the true story here. You started today as the short stack. You grinded it all the way back, second place. How do you feel you played?
I played really good, and I feel great. I feel happy. I started with 362, so I'm happy to be second place too.
Talk about the heads-up play. It went back and forth. We've been here for several hours. Where do you think it slipped away from you?
I was drawing some card dead, some trying to bluff, and didn't work. He was hitting cards and trying to limp in with ace queen. That's it.
All right, second place, not too shabby. You're going home with over 100,000. What is that money going to do for you in your life?
Oh yeah, it's good money. You know, you can even buy a house in Detroit.
All right, folks, give him a round of applause.
Congratulations again to our runner-up, Blade Arshaholi. Now let's hear from our champion, Mike Puccio, who's joined by James Larson.
Now give it up for our new HPT champion, Mike Puccio, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Mike, we've been here for 12 hours. We started with 498. You are the last man standing. Those are your 2 cards. That is your money. I got to ask, what's going through your mind?
I'm just short of words. Never played 7-3. I checked that, and I just hope he made a move, and sure enough, it was over. It was a struggle. He played pretty tight. I didn't know how to maneuver with them, so I just kept calling and checking, but eventually cards played.
It was like a roller coaster, though, and went back and forth. Did you ever feel it was slipping away from you, this championship?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. Towards the middle of our round, when my chip started declining.
Sure.
At first, I started getting all sorts of cards. Throughout this whole tournament, what I learned is that you just can't give up.
Absolutely.
Even when you're having that little struggle, just believe that those cards are going to come.
All right.
And be patient.
Well, now let's talk about the fun stuff. No more poker. 164 and change. You've got your rail back. Your wife's back here. All your friends. How are you going to celebrate this victory? And am I invited?
You're always invited. Because I think you might be the leader of the pack.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. But it's a lot of money. It's going to change your life and hopefully play a few more HPT events.
Every event, I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
All right.
Right, hon?
Anything you want to say to your rail here before we send it back over to Freddie?
Just love you guys, and thanks for coming out and supporting me.
Give him a big round of applause, everybody. Mike played great. It was a long day, but we do have a champion. He's going home with just over $164,000.
All right, that is going to do it. Your new HPT champion is Mike Puccio. He looks very happy, and he's going home with the title and just over $164,000.
Yeah, hats off to Mike Puccio. He played fantastic at this final table and is a well-deserved champion.
Got to give credit to Blade, second place. He's going home with just over $100,000. And I also want to congratulate all of our players who cashed and made tonight's final table. That's all the time we have on tonight's show, but I want to remind you, if you want to play an HPT event, check out the webpage at www.hptpoker.com. Give it a shot, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. For David Williams, I'm James Larson, and we'll see you next time on the HPT.